This is the Squirtle Squad. Fans of the Pokemon anime quickly fell in love with these little troublemakers, and their leader tagged along with Ash for about 140 episodes or so before returning to his mates after helping them win a firefighting competition. These guys make a great team, but can they make the best team? Today we're going to find out if the Squirtle Squad can become the champions of Kanto. Here are the rules of the challenge. We're limited to a team of 5 Squirtles for combat. If an HM move is required to progress and Squirtle can't learn it, another Pokemon can be used to use that HM move outside of combat. Items are not allowed in battle except for held items. Our starter Squirtle is the leader, and as such, he must always wear the black glasses. I'm aiming for fun and challenging, but not excessively grindy. If we need to grind levels, rare candies can be used instead at my discretion, although I will do my best to avoid it. To make sure the challenge works, black glasses have been placed on the ground in Plateau, and Route 1 only has wild Squirtles. We get started by busting out of Professor Oak's lab and retrieving our glasses from the southwest corner of Plateau. Throw those bad boys on and round up the rest of the squad before making our way up to Viridian Forest and Pewter City. As we get the squad together here, let's see what we're working with. Being a first stage Pokemon, obviously Squirtle's stats aren't great. It has low but pretty balanced offenses and also very balanced defenses with low HP and speed. Unlike in a solo challenge, we won't have the benefit of being very overleveled to compensate for those stats either. One advantage we will have instead, though, is a team of 5, with which we can specialize and tailor our move pools a bit. Squirtle actually has a fairly decent move pool available to it through TMs, which will enable us to develop some decent type coverage. Eventually, Squirtle will be able to learn Ice Beam, Brick Break, Dig, and Iron Tail all through TM, go along with Stab Surf. Its support move pool is a little weaker, but Rain Dance, Tail Whip, Toxic, and Double Team could all come in handy at some point. Squirtle can also learn Yawn, but unfortunately only as an egg move, so it won't be an option in this challenge. As we go through the run, some of our Squirtles will adapt more supportive move pools, while some will carry more physical attacks and others more special attacks. That allows us some flexibility that will be much needed during the run. Our Squirtles are named Squirtle in various languages. Shiggy is the leader, because it's clearly the best name of the 5. Not much happens in Viridian Forest, other than using some kids as punching bags to level up the squad. We arrive in Pewter City ready to kick some gym leader butt. Unsurprisingly, Brock is a pushover for this motley crew of turtles. Geodude and Onix can't do much damage to us, especially since our defense stat is pretty good for this stage in the game. They're quad weak to water, which means all we really need to do is spam Bubble a few times. We soak Geodude a few times, we soak Onix a few times, and Brock falls, giving us our first Pokemon League badge. En route to Mount Moon, we temporarily get sidetracked by Last Janice and her 2 demon birds. They like throwing sand in our face, but we eventually take them out, and it's smooth sailing otherwise. In Mount Moon, we flee endless bats, soak some rocks that are pretty much just minding their own business, and chase away Team Rocket. You know, normal Squirtle Squad stuff. This girl attacks us with her plants, which is kinda scary. Especially Oddish, because Absorb deals decent damage to us, which in turn means it heals a decent chunk of its own health. We have to damage it in bigger chunks, leaving it at full HP while we hit it with some tail whips to lower its defense. That should minimize the effect of its recovery. Fortunately for us, they also spend an excessive amount of time trying to make us smell them instead of fighting. It leaves us with the window of opportunity we need to take them down. The rest of Mount Moon is a piece of cake. We find a Paris, and we convince it to come along with us to help cut things down. Yep, that's a Star Wars reference. Cave's exit is in our sights, but we have the opportunity to play one last prank on the way out. We snag this strange, spiral-shaped rock from some guy who doesn't seem too happy to lose it. I don't know what we'll ever do with that, but hey, it looks pretty cool. We're out of Mount Moon now, and these 2 guys on the way to Cerulean help us out by teaching Shiggy Mega Punch and Zenny Mega Kick. Now we don't have to use Tackle all the time against things that resist water. Heading north from Cerulean, some guy apparently recognizes us as the Squirtle that broke out from his grandpa's lab. Then he asks us why we're so slow? This guy seems unfamiliar with the concept of turtles. Anyway, he challenges us to a fight, and this is our first real challenge of the run. Pidgeotto loves to use Sand Attack, and Bulbasaur is a pain in the butt in general. At first it outspeeds most of our team, 2-shots them all with Vine Whip, and it also knows Sleep Powder, preventing us from doing pretty much anything. We train our Squirtles up a bit so that at least we can outspeed the Bulbasaur. Then on our 3rd attempt, we get this run to win. After landing a couple of Tail Whips on his Pidgeotto, a Mega Kick attempt through 2 Sand Attacks somehow also lands to take it down in one hit. We continue swinging our tail at Bulbasaur, dropping it down to -5 defense, while only one of our Squirtles gets knocked out. That's in range for Shiggy to come in and take him out with a single Mega Punch. Now we're in a situation where we only have to fight a Rattata and an Abra, and the Abra only knows Teleport. With 3 members of the squad still standing, that proves to be a simple task. We move on to the Misty fight, which isn't terribly difficult. Her Staryu wastes most of its time using Harden against our Bite, which is still a special move in these games, so while it sounds like a good idea in real life, it's pretty pointless in practice. It lands a few water pulses, but eventually goes down with our whole squad still intact. Starmie comes in and finishes off our lead, but we have plenty of backup available, and we continue spamming Bite for the win. The best part of defeating Misty here is that she gives us the TM for Water Pulse. Squirtle doesn't naturally learn any water moves after Water Gun until it gets Hydro Pump at level 47. So this will give us at least one Squirtle capable of using a not completely terrible water move to tide us over until we get the HM for Surf. Now we're off to Vermilion City. In fact, our home is canonically, well, somewhere around here. It's on the way from Cerulean to Vermilion anyway. We beat this Team Rocket guy, and he says he'll return the Dig TM he stole. You know what? Let's just keep that. Don't tell anyone. Squirtle Squad needs to know how to dig holes. We find a trainer on the way who has a Squirtle, and send out our leader for a recruiting pitch. Our pitch is unsuccessful, so we eliminate the dissenter. We win the battle. Anyway, we got a party to crash. We hop on board this cruise ship, snag a tasty meal from the kitchen, do some exploring. This guy gives us some trouble with his Pikachu, but it's nothing we can't handle, and then... It's okay. We beat this one too. But in the end, our whole team is paralyzed. Hey look, it's this guy again. Fortunately for us, our rival really hasn't improved his team much from Cerulean, although Ivysaur can still make things tough on us. We got a nice start here though with a Secret Power crit and Paralysis on Pidgeotto. That should make it an easy KO, but of course, with sand in our eyes, Squirtle ends up missing Secret Power a couple of times and takes some hits. Gus barely scratches our shells, but Squirtle just keeps on missing Secret Powers. I probably should switch him out, but I don't, and we get very low on health before finally taking Pidgeotto down. Then Ivysaur comes out, puts us to sleep, and proceeds to be its generally very annoying self. We're able to sacrifice a couple of Squirtles to stack Tail Whips on it and bring him down to -5 defense. Unfortunately, it looks like getting a 6th one would have mattered, as we just missed the knockout, and Shiggy gets put to sleep. The good news is, we wake up quickly and finish Ivysaur off with one more Mega Punch. Shiggy lives on 2 HP and then gets some chip damage on Raticate, but goes down to a Quick Attack. Now we're in a 1v2 with Zenny against Raticate and Kadabra. Luckily for us, Zenny does know Brick Break, which makes Raticate easy, and Mega Kick lands a finishing blow on Kadabra to escape with the win. The captain offers to teach us how to cut down trees, which for some reason none of us can figure out. But hey, that's what our good buddy Chopper the Paris is for. With his help, we're able to challenge Lieutenant Surge, the electric gym leader. Well, hey, let's give it a try. And that goes about as well as expected. We don't take electric type attacks very well, so Surge wipes the floor with us. On the 3rd attempt, we get a little bit of good luck and make the fight close enough that I'm willing to try again after we go play some Whack-A-Mole in Diglett's Cave for a bit. After training the squad up to around level 27, we head back in for a rematch. A couple of extra levels plus some extra good fortune here makes this one a breeze. We lead with Squirtle so that we can keep Shiggy, who knows Dig, healthy enough to take a hit from Raichu later on if necessary. Squirtle handles Surge's first 2 Pokemon with ease, taking a bit of damage as we kill Voltorb with Water Pulse and Pikachu with Secret Power. Then we send out Shiggy to use Dig on the Raichu. If it ever hits us with its electric moves, we're in big trouble, but it sets up 2 double teams while we're digging instead. Our fearless leader Shiggy hits through the double teams and gets a crit, so Raichu goes down in 1 hit. We were lucky, but we'll take it. We leave Vermilion with our 3rd badge in hand. On the way back through Cerulean, we snag a bicycle, and it's off to Rock Tunnel. And holy moly, we can't see a thing. But it's all good. Us Squirtles have a good sense of direction, you know? We're in Lavender Town in no time. It's just a pit stop en route to Celadon City, where we hit up the department store and sell some stuff. We're going to need Ice Beam when we challenge Erica, and we're going to need to be mighty rich to afford that. We head to the game corner and storm Team Rocket's hideout. Luckily for us, Giovanni's team is very weak to water, and 2 of our Squirtles know Brick Break for the Kangaskhan. It takes just a single water gun to knock out his lead Onyx, and a second water gun to take down his Rhyhorn. Kangaskhan isn't quite as trivial. Brick Break only does about 1/4 of its health, and it can fire back stab mega punches that actually hurt quite a bit. It's not enough to even score 1 KO on our squad, though, as Kangaskhan joins the rest of Giovanni's team a few Brick Breaks later. After we send him packing, we nab the Silph Scope he left behind. Since we have way more money than I expected to have at this point, we sell some more items and scrounge up enough money to grab the Ice Beam TM from the game corner. That leaves us with a whopping $8. Now that we have Ice Beam, I figure we should at least give Erica a try, but it's no use really. Her Pokemon all know Giga Drain, which means if we don't kill them in one shot, it becomes a huge problem. Ice Beam does about 80% of Victory Bell's health and gets a lucky freeze, but it defrosts instantly anyway. Then, as it almost one-shots us with Giga Drain, it also heals back about half of the damage we did. With all that healing, we're never going to be able to beat Erica if we can't take out her Pokemon in one hit, especially since we only have one Pokemon that even knows Ice Beam. We'll need to just come back later. We take a quick jaunt back to Lavender Town and run into our rival again in the Pokemon Tower. But this time we have access to Ice Beam and a pretty significant level advantage, which makes this fight pretty easy. His 2 usual big threats, Pidgeotto and Ivysaur, are easily handled. A single Ice Beam brings Pidgeotto down and hits Ivysaur for about 90% of its health as it puts us to sleep. We wake up quickly and finish Ivysaur off. Then, we leave Squirtle in to take the Intimidate from Gyarados and deal some last chip damage before fainting. We have no trouble with the rest of his team from there. Gyarados becomes confused from its own thrash and only gets one more hit off on us as we hit it with secret powers to get the KO. Growlithe does live 1 water gun because water gun sucks, but it poses no threat to us, and it goes down the next turn. Then Kadabra goes down to a secret power and bite combination. Let's enjoy that fight while we can. From now on, every time we see this guy, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. We get to the top of the tower, and we learn that Team Rocket is behind the strange happenings here too. As usual, we show them who the real masters of shenanigans are. We save Mr. Fuji, who gives us the Poke Flute. In the Pokemon Tower, we picked up enough levels to give Erica another shot. Ice Beam still doesn't quite one-hit KO Victory Bell, but Erica immediately heals it, and then we land a crit to take it out. Tangela doesn't stand a chance against Ice Beam, and then we hit Vileplume for about 2/3 of its health. We get unlucky on a paralysis where we might have taken a KO to win the fight. Then Squirtle goes down, and Vileplume is back up near full health from Giga Drains. That's going to make things difficult, but we try the old Tail Whip strategy to see if we can finish the fight off. After Carapace goes down though, I make a bit of a mistake. I send in Shiggy, who doesn't know Tail Whip. I resort to trying some secret powers, and after 2 of them we paralyze Vileplume, but Erica heals it off with a full heal. Then Giga Drains us for huge damage, and gets herself back up over half health. At this point the battle is really not looking good for us, but Vileplume randomly goes for Acid, so Shiggy survives and deals the finishing blow. Giga Drain definitely would have killed us here, and pretty much ends any chance we have in the battle. When it happened, I thought this was just a complete goof by the AI, but looking back on the battle, I actually think we may have PP stalled Vileplume out of Giga Drains. Either way, we'll certainly take the win. The next little while consists of a lot of trainer battles as we trek towards Fuchsia City. There we'll get 2 key HMs for our Squirtle army, Strength, and more importantly, Surf. Our training nearly hits a snag when we run into a lass with a Clefairy that knows Giga Drain while our team is already looking pretty depleted. Fortunately, she gets paralyzed and then starts going for Cosmic Power, so the potential crisis is averted. We get to the Safari Zone for one of the most relieving moments of this run. We pick up Surf. Finally, no more water gun reliance. This is probably the single most impactful new move we're going to get in this whole playthrough. At this point, the squad is really coming together. We train up some more by fighting the cycling road trainers as well, and then we challenge Koga while we're in the area. We outspeed him and set up a rain dance on turn 1, which puts us coughing in 1-hit KO range for any of our Surfs. Muck eats even rain-boosted Surfs pretty well, though, and it does a pretty good amount of damage back to us with Sludge. And then he starts setting up Minimize and heals back to full twice with potions. Staring at a full health plus 2 evasion muck, we switch into our second Rain Dancer to get Rain back up. We switch out again to keep him alive in case we need more Rain, but we keep missing attacks. The Rain runs out, we have to bring Carapace back in to set up Rain a third time, and finally we manage to bring Muck down as we die to poison. Only Zenny and Squirtle are left, but fortunately we can kill Coughing with one Surf. Wheezing should be a 2-hit KO, but it hits us with Smokescreen, and with Squirtle suffering from toxic poison, we could be in trouble if we miss, which we do. Twice. Sitting on 12 HP, Squirtle clutches up and lands a final Surf to give us our 5th badge. We need to put a stop to Team Rocket once and for all. So back in Saffron City, we barge right into Silph Co and see what's up. It seems we've gained a reputation, as sources within the building indicate that Team Rocket is scared of us. We handle a slew of rocket grunts without much difficulty, but it's here that we run into, by far, the largest obstacle of the run so far. Our rival is waiting for us on the 9th floor. This battle is tough. Our rival has a Venusaur now, and it carries with it the same problems that Bulbasaur and Ivysaur did, except it's way stronger. When it uses Razor Leaf, it deals massive damage to our Squirtles, and we don't really have the option of leveling up to outspeed it anymore unless we get way overleveled. We're a little bit overleveled for this fight, and we're gonna need it. A few attempts with our previous strategy of using Tail Whip to soften Venusaur up doesn't yield much in the way of success, so after getting our butts kicked a few times, we have to look for a new way to bring him down. This leads me to something I'm not sure I ever expected to say. Secret Power is actually really good, at least in a challenge like this with such a limited move pool. It's got a different secondary effect depending on where you're battling, but almost everywhere it's a 30% chance to paralyze, so it's basically Body Slam but a little bit weaker. The paralysis has come in handy a few times already in this run, but it's going to get even more important during some of the tougher fights coming up. Our new plan is for Boogie, holding the Quick Claw, to go first and use Secret Power on Venusaur, and hopefully we hit the paralysis. That will take a couple of rolls going our way, the Quick Claw proccing and the Secret Power paralysis, but once that happens, we can reliably outspeed Venusaur and bring it down with Ice Beams. Here, on our third attempt with the new strategy, Pidgeot goes down without much of a fight thanks to a couple of Ice Beams, and we manage to hit the combo of Quick Claw and Secret Power paralysis. Venusaur then goes for Poison Powder, then it gets fully paralyzed, and it's down to half health already before we even lose Boogie. Zenny comes in for an Ice Beam, it gets knocked out by a Razor Leaf, but then Squirtle comes in to finish Venusaur off. Gyarados is a bit of a problem. It doesn't deal a ton of damage to us, but it proves to be really hard for our Squirtles to damage too. I'm sure that won't ever come up again, right? It eventually takes Squirtle down, but Shiggy comes in and is able to whittle it down with Secret Power as we trade hits. We get a couple of unlucky breaks as we flinch to its bite, but eventually we win the battle of attrition. Then we instantly KO his Growlithe with a Surf. Only Alakazam remains, and it goes for Future Sight while we hit it with a Secret Power. It goes for Future Sight again, and our fearless leader lands a huge critical hit. The squad can march on to Giovanni. With our rival finally dispatched, the next steps of the game are actually pretty easy. The Giovanni fight in Silph Co isn't much of a challenge with his ground specialty. Boogie leads and sets up the rain, which allows a 2-hit KO on Nidorino with Surf as it retaliates harmlessly. I kind of expected to 1-hit KO Nidoqueen in the rain, but it doesn't go down that easily. Fortunately, Nidoqueen's attacks don't do too much to us either as we take it out with a pair of Surfs. As Kangaskhan comes in, I switch into Zenny and hit it with a Brick Break, which does surprisingly little damage. I also always underestimate how much damage Kangaskhan's stab Mega Punches do, and it takes out Zenny as I hit it with a couple of Tail Whips to bring its defense down. I'm hoping to finish it off with a Brick Break from Carapace, but it barely survives the first one. It takes 2 hits instead of 1, but Kangaskhan does go down here, leaving just his Rhyhorn, which, like every other rock ground type we've encountered in this run, is trivially easy to deal with. The Silph President rewards us with some useless purple ball thing? Come on, man. We just saved your company. What are we gonna do with this? You know what? I really hope Giovanni isn't still hanging out around here somewhere. Anyway, now that the Squirtle Squad has been officially crowned undisputed champions of troublemaking, we set out to fight the final 3 gym leaders in rapid succession. Sabrina is a little scary, as her Alakazam can boost itself up with Calm Mind and do absolutely stupid levels of damage. First things first, we set up a rain and fire off a surf that almost knocks out Kadabra while she spams Future Sight. She heals to survive an extra turn and the Future Sight hit comes through, but even then it does surprisingly little damage and we finish Kadabra off. We hit Mr. Mime with a surf, but our rain runs out, so we take a hit from Psybeam while we set it back up. Then her Kadabra's second Future Sight attack comes through and Carapace goes down. That's fine though. Zenny comes in to clean up Mr. Mime and then deals with Venomoth in similar fashion, bringing the bug down with a pair of rain-boosted surfs. Alakazam comes in, and Sabrina declines to take advantage of its terrifying offensive potential, instead choosing to spam Future Sight some more. Our rain runs out again after hitting Alakazam with one surf, but that hit softened it up enough that it isn't really a problem. Shiggy comes in and uses Strength to clinch our 6th badge. Blaine, on the other hand, is not even remotely scary. He has a team of all fire types, and the game plan here is as simple as it gets. First we click Rain Dance, then we click Surf, and we click Surf, and we click Surf, and finally we click Surf. Arcanine actually barely manages to hang on, and we lose the rain as Blaine heals the damage off. Arcanine then crits a Fire Blast, and it actually manages to take a KO on us, which is more than I thought Blaine would accomplish, but Squirtle comes in to seal the deal. It turns out the exact same game plan works just as well on Giovanni, as his entire team shares a water weakness thanks to their ground typing. One by one, Giovanni's squad of Rhyhorn, Dugtrio, Nidoqueen, Nidoking, and another Rhyhorn go down to Surfs as Oogie calls down some rain and proceeds to sweep the entire fight on its own. After the battle, Giovanni calls this a truly intense fight. He is not correct, but I suppose we'll let him have this one. With that, we've collected all of the Kanto gym badges. Now we head to the Sevy Islands with Bill for some extra training. Don't ask why Bill is bringing a turtle squad on his boat with him. On the Sevy Islands, we save a lost little girl from a hypno that lured her into the forest, which is really creepy actually, what the heck. As she should, she thinks the Squirtle Squad is cool. By the way, if you also think the Squirtle Squad is cool, show your support by hitting that subscribe button and leaving a like on the video. It would mean a lot and it really helps out the channel. Alright, so our vacation time's over. We hop back on Bill's boat, return to Cinnabar Island, and prepare to set out on the final leg of our journey. It's about to get serious. On the way to Victory Road, our rival tracks us down, and these fights never get any easier. We have learned a thing or two from the Silph Co fight, though, and the paralysis chance on Secret Power comes up huge again. Pidgeot has become completely non-threatening thanks to Ice Beam, and only deals a small amount of damage with Wing Attack as Zenny takes it down in 2 hits. Venusaur comes in and goes for Growth, letting us get Secret Power off without a hitch, and we get that sweet, sweet paralysis roll. Oogie gets taken out with one mighty Razor Leaf after dealing some chip damage, but he's done his job. Squirtle comes in and lands an Ice Beam before he too falls to a Razor Leaf. Zenny avenges his fallen friends with an Ice Beam of his own. Our rival's newest addition is a Rhyhorn, which is excellent news for us as it's just surf fodder. Gyarados has now become the number 2 problem on our rival's team. But we can still take hits from her pretty well, and now it throws us a bone by going for Rain Dance itself. I wasn't going to go for Surf against it, but after he set up Rain for us, it becomes our best option. Gyarados hits us with a rain-boosted Hydro Pump that does about 30 damage, and we continue pounding it with wave after wave. After trading blows for what seems like forever, Gyarados goes down and our rival sends in Growlithe, another Pokemon we are very happy to see and defeat. That leaves us with a 3v1 against Alakazam to get past the fight on our first try. Our rival continues to love using Future Sight. This has really saved our bacon every time we've seen an Alakazam in this playthrough. 2 Secret Powers puts a big dent in his health while leaving him paralyzed, and while he does eventually take a knockout on Shiggy, a paralyzed Alakazam is helpless to defend itself as Carapace cleans up with one final Surf. And so one determined group of little Squirtles marches through Victory Road and right up to the front door of the Indigo Plateau. Final challenge lies just in front of us now. Our goal is literally in our sights. Let's do this. With a team full of Pokemon that resist our best moves, Surf and Ice Beam, Lorelei doesn't have too many offensive threats to us, but she will be pretty tough to damage. We did bring Brick Break on a couple of our Squirtles to hit for super effective damage, But it's still a 75 base power non-stab attack coming from a Squirtle, so we'll be fighting an uphill battle. Lorelei leads with Dugong, and we Brick Break for just under half its health, which means it's going to take a 3-hit KO. Actually, it means that after 2 Brick Breaks, Dugong lands in range for Lorelei to burn a full restore on it, so it actually takes 5 hits to bring it down. Fortunately, the same damage problem generally applies to Lorelei's team, as she struggles to deal damage back to our Squirtles. Dugong has set up Hail for chip damage, but it doesn't really attack us any other way as we bring it down, finally landing a Surf that barely hurts more than the Hail does right before we take it out. We set up Rain as Cloyster protects itself, then hit it with a Surf, which actually does pretty big damage, hitting Cloyster's pitiful special defense. Cloyster sets the Hail back up, then it protects again, so I bring the Rain back and finish it off. She sends in her Slowbro, which is bulky at the best of times, never mind when it resists pretty much everything you can throw at it. Here we learn that Return also barely leaves a mark, and we come to the realization that we might be in for a long one. It seems that for both sides, rain-boosted Surfs are the way to go for damage dealing. Slowbro gets a knockout on Zenny, and we immediately return fire with Squirtle. We're in good shape, but that doesn't last long because in comes Lorelei's Jinx, and this Pokemon is evil. First it puts us to sleep, then it uses Attract, and by the way, our whole team is male. Squirtle hits through Attract to get Jinx low on health, but gets frozen by Ice Punch, and then when I switch into Boogie, it also gets frozen by Ice Punch. Hopelessly frozen in a block of ice, Jinx slowly takes us down and turns a 4v2 into a 2v2. Carapace is finally able to bring it down and then hits Lapras with a Brick Break. Lapras barely takes any damage and retaliates with Confuse Ray. I see where this is going. It turns out Lorelei is really freaking annoying. We switch our Pokemon around a little to avoid confusion and whittle her down with Brick Breaks. Paralysis makes this even tougher, and she takes down Carapace, but Shiggy is ready to come in and finally finish this battle off. Bruno is definitely the easiest member of the Elite Four for us. Onix is no threat, and he has 2 of them. We set up Rain Dance on his lead Onix before surfing it away, and Bruno breaks out his fighting types, realizing his pair of Onix won't do anything to us. Surf scores a 2-hit KO on Hitmonchan, though its Sky Uppercut puts a big dent in Carapace first. Hitmonlee takes big damage from Surf, but it finishes Carapace off with a Mega Kick. Then Bruno heals off all of our damage as the rain runs out, so we have to set it back up. Boogie crits a Surf, but it comes up just short of the KO, which tells me that if he were to heal again, we might actually need 3 hits to KO, so I switch into Squirtle, which has a higher special attack stat. He doesn't heal, and Squirtle takes a lot of damage before taking Hitmonlee down. In hindsight, that switch was probably a mistake, but it doesn't burn us too badly. Squirtle brings Machamp below half before getting taken down by a Cross Chop. Our rain runs out again, and Machamp eats a Citrus Berry. Now the fight is thrown up in the air a bit, because Zenny's Surf doesn't do enough damage after the Citrus Berry, and after another Surf, Bruno finally uses the other full restore he's been holding. Then he goes down to a Cross Chop, and it looks like we aren't going to be able to do this without the rain, so Boogie comes in and sets it back up. Machamp goes for Scary Face, then it goes for Bulk Up as it takes a Surf. That Bulk Up proves to be a throw because it doesn't outspeed Shiggy in the back. Machamp takes down Boogie with 1 Cross Chop, but Shiggy comes in to kill with Surf, and all Bruno has left is his second Onix. And well, we all know how that goes. Agatha's up next. Agatha has 2 Gengars, and that speed plus special attack combo is absolutely terrifying. One comes out as her lead, and honestly, I would have been a lot less scared if I realized she thought she was Koga. Toxic Double Team Gengar is not a set I thought I would encounter. The rain up, 1 Surf brings Gengar to half health as it uses Double Team, then it goes down to a second one after poisoning us. Full Bat outspeeds us and gets some damage in as we hit it with an Ice Beam, which does a little over half, so we repeat the same process the next turn to bring it down. Arbok intimidates us, but Squirtle is a special attacker mainly, so it doesn't care. What we do care about is the following turn of events, as Surf doesn't do half because we've lost our rain, and then a critical hit Sludge Bomb unexpectedly takes Squirtle down. Carapace comes in and brings the rain back. He takes a hit, but is able to finish Arbok off with another Surf. Next we encounter the second of Agatha's 2 very misused Gengars. She starts firing off Sludge Bombs, which is still a physical move in Gen 3, from Gengar's very uninspiring attack stat. It does do enough damage to take Carapace down, as it was already low on health, but Zenny is able to eat a hit and fire back his Surf. Here I'm trying to game it so she doesn't get to use a full restore. I think Surf twice would threaten putting her into healing range, so I go for Ice Beam to intentionally do a little less damage, but then we lose our Rain again, and now I won't be able to finish her off with Surf on the next turn. She does in fact land in healing range, and makes things annoying. Zenny uses a Surf, then survives on 7 HP and hits a second one that, boosted by Torrent, brings Gengar down to red, so Agatha uses another full restore. Zenny goes down, and it falls on Boogie to finish Gengar off. Luckily, Agatha does not appear to have any more full restores, and we're able to do just that. Agatha then commands her own Haunter to destroy itself as it uses Curse to put itself right in one-hit KO range for Boogie, and we have 3 Elite Four members down. Lance's team boasts a very prominent weakness to Ice Beam, so I figure this fight will go pretty smoothly, but I am quickly proven incorrect. Lance's team actually provides a number of problems for us, one of which is that he leads with Gyarados, and we've seen what kind of trouble that can cause us from a number of rival fights. I actually brought Toxic on Boogie with the hopes that it will help with that, but it proves almost impossible to kill Gyarados without bringing it into range for Lance to use a full restore and heal that Toxic Poison off. At that point, Boogie has usually already been KO'd, so we can't even set up another one. What I figured would be the second easiest fight of the Elite Four becomes the only one that takes multiple attempts, although it certainly seems doable if we get the right run. Along the way, I learned that it's imperative to keep Squirtle and Zenny, our 2 Ice Beamers, healthy through Gyarados, so that they don't get outsped and killed by Lance's Dragonairs later on. I still lead with Boogie and use Toxic, then try to survive a few turns while letting it take damage. Gyarados fires off a Hyper Beam that takes Boogie down as it starts to take damage from the poison, and we add to that damage with Surf. Eventually, Gyarados gets low on HP and Lance heals it off. I predicted the heal here though, and went for Secret Power, which leaves him paralyzed. We trade minor moves for a few turns until he goes for another Hyper Beam and knocks out Carapace. As he wastes a turn recharging, we're able to get a few hits off with Squirtle and take him out. With Squirtle and Zenny still at full HP, we're now in a good position to get past his Dragonairs. We hit one with Ice Beam as it paralyzes us, then we finish it off with a second Ice Beam. The second Dragonair comes in and much the same happens. Squirtle goes down in the process of taking it down with a pair of Ice Beams, but we've kept Zenny at full health for his Dragonite. We land a crit with Ice Beam, but it falls just short of knocking Dragonite out, and he heals it back to full health. However, Ice Beam rolls better damage this time around, and we're able to 2-hit KO him without taking any damage in return. As his Aerodactyl comes in, it hits us with Ancient Power. It doesn't do much damage, but it gives him an extremely timely Omni Boost. Annoyingly, this leaves him just out of range for the Surf 2-hit KO. Then he kills us with Hyper Beam. Surf brings him down low as he's recharging, but it's spooky time now, as I'm pretty sure thanks to that Ancient Power boost we die to Hyper Beam. He goes for Wing Attack instead, though, and Shiggy lands the hit to send us to the champion. It's time for one last battle with the rival. Every time we've faced him so far, it's been a challenge, even when overleveled. For this fight, we're not even overleveled with a team of level 60s against our rival's team between 57 and 63. I expect this to be the toughest fight of the run, and it delivers. Initially, we try the strategy that has gotten us through the toughest rival fights so far. Ice Beam the Pidgeot, hope for Secret Power Paralysis against Venusaur so we can outspeed and get hits in on it before it kills us. A Rain Dance and Surf combination to get through Alakazam and Rhydon. We don't get this far very often, and when we do, it seems hopeless against Gyarados. We just lose too much along the way to be able to finish this battle. It sure feels like we're going to need to level up. But I don't want to. And the one Pokemon that's been the bane of our existence in every single rival fight so far throws us a lifeline. Somehow, incredibly, Venusaur gives us a way to win. Venusaur's moveset has changed considerably for this battle. It's now Solar Beam, Sunny Day, Synthesis, and Growth, and for whatever reason, it doesn't like to go for Sunny Day. Its only damaging move, being a 10 PP 2-turn attack, gives us a way out. If it's paralyzed by Secret Power first, we can simply use Dig to avoid the hit anytime it starts charging Solar Beam. When Venusaur is out of damaging moves, we've got one Squirtle ready to set up with Double Team, and then it's just a matter of dodging enough hits from Alakazam and Gyarados to take him down. Is it cheesy? Heck yeah. But hey, this squad is renowned for shenanigans. It's perfect. The changing game plan makes the battle drag on, but it is noticeably more effective. We get further and further, we get down to his final Pokemon. We are agonizingly close. It's right there. We can do this. This one starts as you'd expect. We're a bit short of the 2-hit KO on Pidgeot with Ice Beam, but it's actually okay because he wastes a full restore on a less threatening Pokemon as we eventually take it down by raining Ice Beams on it. Weirdly enough, however, this particular run deviates a bit from our established strategy. We paralyze Venusaur quickly and flawlessly execute our dig plan to evade damage. It occasionally uses Synthesis to heal itself up as we waste turn after turn, digging every time it begins to gather light. The problem? With the accumulating chip damage from dig, along with the fact that we can't waste digs when it doesn't use Solar Beam and have to use Secret Power instead, we accidentally kill it before we can set up our double teams. This would almost be worth a reset, but the squad's actually in pretty good shape still with 2 of our rivals' Pokemon down, so I decide to see how this plays out. In fact, there may be another way. Gyarados doesn't deal a ton of damage to us, so there's a chance we can set up double teams in its face once we get through Alakazam and Rhydon. We set up Rain as Alakazam uses Future Sight, and it hits us with a massive Psychic. We return fire with a similarly powerful Surf, but Carapace goes down on the next turn, and Boogie comes in just as Future Sight hits, so he also falls before being able to do anything. Shiggy mops up Alakazam after taking big damage. We get a brief moment of reprieve here as Rhydon comes in and promptly gets washed away with a Surf. And now, we make our move. Switch in Squirtle and start double teaming. Gyarados hits us with the first Thrash, but we evade the second hit and set up some more. Now we have a few evasion boosts and it becomes tough for Gyarados to hit us at all. We continue piling them up and we get ourselves to +6. It comes down to luck now. It's going to take several, and I do mean several, hits to bring Gyarados down, and we're just going to have to keep dodging everything along the way. Our rival has a seemingly endless supply of full restores. He uses 4 of them in this fight, 3 of them on Gyarados, and the battle takes approximately 10 real-life minutes to resolve. During this time, Gyarados manages to land 1 Dragon Rage on us, but that's it, and we finally bring him down. Arcanine comes in. Everything comes down to this. If Arcanine's attack misses, we will 1-hit KO with Surf. Come on, Squirtle. Don't get hit. Miss. Do it. All the way down. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We did it! Squirtle, you did it! It's been a long road, but we've made it. It's time to take our place in the Hall of Fame. There's the squad. Look at them. Squirtle, Boogie, Zenny, Carapace, and of course Shiggy. Proud of all of you. Can the Squirtle Squad become the champions of the Kanto region? They sure can.